Today, we're going to follow the really fascinating story of one senior developer's journey with AI. We're talking about a multi-year trip that took him from being, a bit of a skeptic to having a full-on AI coding partner. So how did he do it? And what he learned? Let's get into it.
And really, it all comes down to this one big question, right? The one you see here. Can a machine actually replace over a decade of real-world, hard-won human experience? That's what we're here to find out. So let me introduce you to our guide for this journey. This is Stanko. He's a chief technology officer, and he's got 11 years in the tech trenches, 9 of those as a full-time programmer. So yeah, he's the perfect person to walk us through this whole revolution. All right, so let's start at the beginning. Picture this. Generative AI has just exploded onto the scene, and every developer out there, including Stanko, is asking themselves the exact same thing. Okay, what can this thing actually do for me?
Stanko's journey really shows this clear evolution of trust. I mean, look at this. It kicks off with just some simple experiments in late 2022. By 2024, he trusted enough to be his research assistant. A year later, it gets a promotion to an apprentice, writing its first bits of code. And then, by 2026, boom, it's a full partner, baked right into his day-to-day workflow.
That first huge leap, that was in 2024, when the AI basically became his researcher. This was Stanko's first big aha moment, using it not just to find little answers, but to build a really deep understanding of complex topics at a speed that was just wow.
Okay, so in 2024, Stanko was facing this absolute beast of a technical problem. It involved enterprise authentication systems. We're talking things like Kerberos and single sign-on. Trust me, these topics are notoriously complex, super niche, and he wasn't an expert. It was the perfect test for his new AI assistant.
And this is where the game completely changed. You know how a regular search engine works. It just throws a million links at you based on keywords, and then it's up to you to piece it all together. But the AI, it was different. It understood the relationship between the concepts, connecting the dots to give him an actual targeted solution. It wasn't just search, it was synthesis.
And here's the impact. I mean, just look at this. A task that would have taken Stanko weeks of digging through dense technical manuals was suddenly done in just a few days. He didn't just find an answer. He understood the whole problem on a deep level, orders of magnitude faster. It's incredible.
So that brings us to 2025. The trust is there, right? The AI has proven itself as a brilliant researcher. So Stanko takes the next logical step. He lets it start writing actual functional code. And honestly, the results were stunning. In his own words, he said he was producing more thorough tests than he ever had before. The AI was finding these little edge cases and weird scenarios that even a super experienced developer might miss. The quality of his work just shot through the roof. So you might be wondering, why is AI so good at this specific task? Well, when you feed it your source code, you're giving it a solid foundation. It's not just guessing or hallucinating, it's analyzing a concrete reality. And this lets it write both simple tests for tiny functions, we call those unit tests, and the really complex ones that check how everything works together, getting them to almost 100% code coverage. Let's just put that into perspective for a second. For a senior developer like Stanko, building out a really solid set of tests for a new feature would normally take about 2 full days of work.
With the AI's help, that same job was done in just 2 hours. That is not a small improvement. That's a total transformation of your workflow. What used to take days now takes less time than a long coffee break.
So by 2026, the evolution is pretty much complete. The AI isn't just a tab in his browser anymore. It's a full-on partner living inside his code editor. And that unlocked a ton of power, but also a whole new kind of risk. See, Stanko integrated an AI tool right into his main editor, Visual Studio Code. This meant the AI could see his entire project, read all the files, and understand the full context without him having to copy and paste a single thing. It was all right there. And then, one day, he noticed the AI executed this command all by itself, rm/filename. Now, for those of you who don't speak terminal, that command means remove file. The AI, in its attempt to be helpful, had just deleted a file from his project, which, just stops you in your tracks and raises this absolutely critical question. When you hand the AI the keys to your kingdom, the power to write, to change, and even to delete your files, what are the rules of engagement?
So what did Stanko learn from all this? Well, this new kind of partnership requires a whole new framework, a new way of thinking about our own role in this creative process.
He discovered this really strange paradox. On one hand, you get way more done. But on the other, he felt more mentally drained at the end of the day. And why?
because your brain is suddenly processing and verifying a much larger volume of information in the same amount of time. The cognitive load actually goes up.
And this leads to a fascinating problem, especially for junior developers. AI is an amazing teacher. Stanko even used it to help his 11-year-old son build a video game. But if you blindly accept its code without understanding why it works, you're not really programming anymore. You've just become a quality assurance tester for the AI.
So what's Stanko's advice after going through all this? First, he says to just start playing with these integrated tools right now. Don't wait. Be patient. It's a learning curve for both you and the AI. Really focus on giving it clear context. But the most important rule of all? Always, and I mean always, review the code it gives you.
Which brings us to the golden rule for this new era of software development. It's an old Slovak saying that has never been more relevant. Trust, but verify. Or, as they say, dôveruj, ale preveruj.
So let's circle all the way back to that first question. Can AI replace an expert? Stanko's journey seems to suggest the answer is no. But it might just be the ultimate tool to create an even better expert. So the real question isn't whether the technology is ready for us, but whether we're ready for it.